Alright, guys, welcome back to the Mental Money. My name is Rossi. I am the host of the Mental Money. Um, Today's video, I wanted to talk a little bit about my own personal story again and where I come from and why I came to do this as like a project. I have a keen interest in mental health, everything surrounding it, all that good stuff. But where did I come from and what is the story behind it all? Well, I was born in Leeds and I was born completely healthy, normal baby, born on time, which is rare compared to all the people I know. Quite a lot of people that I know weren't born on time. And I feel very blessed to be born in such healthy condition. I was born into a very poor area of Leeds. I think it was West Leeds. I moved from there when I was about 2 years old. I lived on an estate in Leeds, moved to Blackpool, to an even worse place, into an even worse neighbourhood. I moved when I was around 2 years old. I moved to Blackpool, um, lived in a little terrace house in like outskirts Blackpool, like not central Blackpool, which was kind of still holding on at that point when I was around there. We were on the outskirts where most people from Blackpool live. It was a really poor neighborhood, like infested with crime, people getting shot and stabbed every single day. Police wouldn't even go there because not only is there no money there, there's no shops, there's nothing there apart from like estates. So police never showed any presence, just crime everywhere. Yeah, really shit neighborhood. Um I lived there for about like 4 years maybe. Yeah, I lived in Blackpool for about 4 years. Um I had a mother who, so my dad left before I was even born. Um and he was like, it's not confirmed evidence that he was a drug dealer, but that is what I've been told by people who knew him and by people who have that type of information on him. Um, he was a drug dealer, so he kind of was had some sort of problem with the police, and he said to my mum, "Let's move to France." She was like, "No, I'm staying here." Um, so he went off to France without her. We stayed in this country. He left before I was born, so it's just my mum. Um, she had a very much more difficult life than I ever will. But she did a lot of drugs, mainly heroin. She drank a lot. She did a lot of these things, and because of that, I wasn't brought up in a good environment ever. Um, I had to kind of feed myself whenever I could. I was on like one pot noodle a day, as as you know, that's no nutritional content at all, especially for a kid who's growing. Thankfully, like I say, I was born completely normally, on time, all the good stuff. So I guess you could call it abuse, but I was like neglected as a kid. Um, Neglected can mean lots of different things. I'm not going to go into too much detail of it. I think that's a whole video in itself, but up until the age of 4, I lived in that house and it was just crazy. Those first years of my life were absolute mayhem. And then I got taken by social services. They came around at some point, saw that they were completely wrong situation, wrong standards for a child to be growing up. So they took me away. I was put in foster, moved around foster homes a lot. Um, I was in 3 different foster homes within maybe, I think, like the first 6 months. So I discovered different bits of Blackpool. Um, all of it was poverty driven. Like Blackpool was a very, very poor area. So moving around foster homes a lot, and then I finally get put in this final foster home. I think this was like the fifth one, sixth one, and then I stay there for about another 6 months. But after 4 months of being there, I'm about, let me think, like five, maybe 5.5. I My mum dies of pneumonia, and at the time I didn't really like, my brain was trying to protect me, so kind of just went to a funeral, met my granddad for the first time, obviously. Also, I don't have any biological family anymore. So, but anyway, back to that point, went to the funeral, didn't really process it at all, as you wouldn't as a kid, that young and your mum's gone. She was like 30, I think, um, or a little bit younger. So that happens, and as you can tell, I have little or next to no information apart from like very needed information, because it's kind of like you're not told everything, and when you got to find it out yourself from social workers and stuff, it's kind of difficult. It's been a long time as well, so I've just tried getting on with my life as good as I can from that point. But yeah, so then after that, about 4 months after she died, I got adopted, moved to Manchester, complete new change to my life, entered school, was given loads of different therapies in Blackpool, had counselling when I came to Manchester. They said I'm like a remarkable kid, as I'm sure they tell everyone, just to try and, you know, set the tone and kind of be like, you're an amazing person. You've dealt with these things, and you still like. My parents said no. I call my adoptive parents my parents, because I feel like they're more my family than my biological family ever were. So my parents, when they came to choose me in Blackpool, they said they'd never seen a bigger smile on someone's face ever, and I just was like filled with joy, even though I was put in the darkest times. And I think with time, I realized like all of that kind of really proves to me that I am stronger than I think at times, and that I can provide positivity through darkness. And but anyway, back to the story. I'll try and keep on track. So I moved to Manchester, go to school as normal. I had a lot of difficulties. Um, I was seeing things, hearing things, like seeing my dead mum, like as vivid as day type of thing, making me scream and cry. I couldn't go to sleep properly. If I did go to sleep, I'd have nightmares all the time where I'd wake up crying, screaming. Sorry, it is like 5 a.m. So if I yawn a couple of times, do excuse me. I I end up having loads of nightmares as a kid, as you would. Had had a rough time growing up till the age of about 11, and then I really started kind of trying to get my head together. Had a lot of therapy. Went into high school, got bullied for about 5 years straight. had a really difficult time in high school with my anger. The growing up at that stage, boys tend to be a bit more pen pent up anyway. But everything started hitting me. I started realizing kind of the things that happened to me as a kid, and realizing in myself that I wasn't okay with what happened. So I went back into therapy, had to hit hypnotherapy, and I don't know, like I was getting bullied a lot, so that kind of gave me more anger towards people. I felt very separated. I was having these yearly breakdowns, which got found out to be an anniversary effect of my PTSD. Around certain times of the year, when certain things have happened in my past, I would start to just break down and cry, or get very, very angry. At about, I think it was 14, I first tried committing suicide. Tried a lot more times after that. Struggled my whole way through high school, and then I get into college. I get into college. They find out I've got PTSD. They find out I've got dyslexia and dyscalculia, which is like super unhelpful information. By that point, they should have really known that back then in high school when it mattered. But it was all right to know. I kind of knew, had that feeling anyway. I wasn't very good with those type of things anyway. Um, I'm by the way, I'll pass all my education stuff. Not with flying colours. I put no effort in at all. Just kind of cruised through because I had zero interest in education because it was so boring to me and authoritarian, and I just didn't vibe with it. Then I hit around 17. I started smoking, drinking, smoked quite a bit, started getting really addicted to it. Started smoking like 10 cigs a day. I was like in a weird place thinking, oh, I don't care. It's not going to affect me. It's not going to hurt me. Started going out drinking with my friends. And the first time I started drinking was like 13 years old, but I never really got into it then, as you wouldn't, you're 13. Um, but at 17, it just seemed more acceptable because more people were doing it. Um, and I just started hitting it heavy and thinking I was enjoying it. So I just did it more and more and more until it was like pushing limits. And I could handle it really well. But I had to calm down with it even by that age. I got to like 18, started smoking a lot of weed. I started late, like started smoking weed really late, smoked weed a lot, and that kind of went hand in hand with everything else that I was doing. But it wasn't good for my head, and I did find at points it was making certain mental health issues that were unknown at the time worse. So about, I think it was when I was around 19, they told me, yeah, you've got depression and anxiety. So I was like, okay, but they didn't put me on medication for it at that point. So I was like, yeah, it's fine. I don't need to do anything. At 18, I started doing MDMA. Like I think I was 19 maybe. Started doing MDMA. Um, Ages are a bit of a blur for me because of all the stuff that I'll get into. MDMA, started doing that, enjoying it, found that it was the only thing that made me happy. So I started doing it a lot, but I was going to raves and kind of mingling with everyone and just kind of vibing. So I started doing it a lot and doing it then by myself. Whenever I could get my hands on it, it was so cheap as well that I kind of just buy a bag. Uh, if I felt a bit like a bit down, like when I say a bit, I mean like quite a lot. Because for me, feeling down was like my normal. It was like my steady. But when I feel a bit down compared to that, it's like okay, fuck this. So I hit a bag, and then at a point, MD just stopped working for me because I was taking it so much. My body started becoming tolerant to it, and I was already tolerant to it when I started. I started my first time. I took a gram and half a pill, and I just thought it was really, really, really good time. Enjoyed it. Then I just started becoming less and less. It started doing less and less to me. So I moved on to doing like ketamine, cocaine, acid, shrooms. What else did I do? Feels like I did more, but like I'm trying to like list the things that I mainly did. So like shrooms, acid, psychedelics. I loved ketamine. Did that for a whole year straight, just like nearly every single day of my life. That was a thing that I could do from whether it was morning, nighttime, afternoon, out in public, in private. I could just do it everywhere and any time. It became the thing that I just was on all the time. And throughout this, I was smoking like maybe a Q of weed, which is like seven point something grams, dependent on who's your dealer. 7 point something grams up to a half a day. And then if I'm with my mates, we're smoking at least I know, which is an ounce, or 20 something grams. Um, and then after that, uh, that all started coming crashing down for me at a point when the doctors finally said to me like, because I started having really bad psychosis and mental breakdowns that, you know, it just became a really tough time for me. And I got put on my first antidepressant, and that was called sertraline. I was put on that, and I was smoking a lot of weed and doing drugs. I was doing coke on it, and I was just doing a bunch of dumb shit on it, and it fucked with my head majorly. Like, so I was like, oh, this isn't working. Switched to a new one. Then I was put on a different one, and then I ended up in a situation where I tried killing myself again, and I was on a bunch of diazepam. I was on like a shit ton of diazepam. Um, a bunch of my antidepressants, which were metazapine at the time. Um, my life was a hectic situation. Like, people just stopped kind of caring about me at that point, stopped caring for myself, and stopped caring for people. And I just felt super sensitive to everything at that point. I just started to crumble. I was noticing more and more that I was so addicted to drugs, and I just felt like the end was coming. But I've survived things so many times that it's just gonna catch up and bite me in the arse. So I kind of thought, you know what, enough is enough. I've been through enough pain. Tried committing suicide, and then was put in a ward, put under section, was evaluated, And then they told me, yeah, you've got borderline personality disorder, complex PTSD, major depression, and anxiety and a panic disorder, and a slight eating disorder as well. Um, like being told all of that compared to what I'd known my whole life, like, oh yeah, I'm depressed. I've got a bit of anxiety as well on the side. I deal with a little bit of PTSD and stuff like that. That's what I could kind of figure out from myself, but I always thought I was better and better off mentally than I was. I thought I was stronger than that. Well, not stronger, but as in, like, I saw myself in a stronger position than I actually was. Um, so I got told all that, given the evaluation, was discharged after 4 days, and I completely just tried changing around my life since then. Quit every drug, um, quit alcohol, quit cigarettes, quit smoking weed, and being told that I had all those mental health issues, and like kind of being able to notice when things are happening more, being able to know what to do in them situations is very, very beneficial. The sober lifestyle and mentality has helped me a lot, and it's made me super, super avid to be a mental health supporter, and advocate, and kind of awareness spreader, because I only got diagnosed with some of the most major things I deal with at such a late age, and I feel like they're important to know. Like, if it's going on with you, you deserve to know what's going on with you. And sometimes it is difficult for a doctor to try and even begin a diagnosis like that. And I feel like he's still entitled to it, you know. And I feel like maybe if I'd been given that diagnosis when I was a kid, then I wouldn't have got so bad. But there's so many ifs and buts that you want for your life. Like, you look back and say, oh, I wish this could be different, but I know I can't do that. You can't go back, but I can change the future, and I can hopefully kind of make other people aware that they're able to change their future before it kind of like happens. So you're able to change like the present, do you know what I mean? And you can try and find out as much information as fast as you can, because it'll be so beneficial. And hopefully you won't get into a state where you end up in a ward or something like that, because it's not a nice experience, and it's not something I ever hope anyone has to go through to just get some answers, or, like, they go through it because they never were given answers to questions they had about themselves. And I'm just a big, big supporter of it, and I know how much the health service and mental health service has helped my life and been beneficial to me, and then it enables me to live a more normal life and not have to feel in a headspace all the time now where I want to die, or I want to kill myself, or that things just aren't worth it anymore, or the usual. I just feel like it's so important in today's age to kind of, like, it's important, like, for the awareness, and but I would say more important than the awareness side of mental health is people actually out there kind of giving proper information, and kind of listening to other people as well, and taking on board that information, and just, sitting there and supporting people. Don't Not just like saying, oh, I support it. Just like, stop saying you support it and just support the people you need to, and be there for people. That's pretty much all it is. Like, that's what mental health support is. Do you know what I mean? You just gotta be there. You gotta talk or listen, and it's very simple. The treatments, they're very, very simple, but they can be so beneficial to such complex issues. and I advocate it so much. It's changed my life, and I hope for other people it can do the same thing. That's a little bit about myself. Not a great amount of detail, just a very general overview timeline of why I started this project, because I want to help people and I want to listen to people and I want to be able to talk to people and kind of talk about my own experience a little bit. And that is exactly why I've made this channel. And I'll hopefully get to do this as maybe even a profession, maybe not just the YouTube stuff, but mental health stuff. But yeah, that's the video. Anyway, I'm gonna go sleep now because it is super, super late, and you guys have heard what I had to say, so thank you very much, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.